People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right, guys, we are back. And this week we have one of my favorite people in all of magic. This guy calls me and we talk like we're little school kids. We talk on the phone and just giggle and just talk magic and talk career and talk each other up. And then all of a sudden he ghosts me for like 3 months. And then he calls me and we're back right on. I don't know where he goes. I don't know what happens. He just falls off the face of the earth. But I love this guy and I can't wait to talk. Our second appearance of Mr. John Westford. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hi, Wes. Hi, Natalie. Great to see you guys.
Dude, what happens in those 3 months that you disappear? What is
Well,
that?
I mean, there's two sides to every story, Wes, and I think Natalie backed me up here. Some of us have to work for a living, you know. We got shows to do, produce, promote. You should know this. You do what, 12,000 shows a year or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
So are you sure I'm ghosting you, or are you just too damn busy to talk to your buddy John?
No. But I do like our conversations. So
Likewise.
If they came more often, I'd appreciate it.
Well, let's try. We'll work on that. We'll work on that, buddy.
Dude, so in case you don't know John Westford, I got 5 pages of notes here. He shared stages and engagements with names including Alabama, Beach Boys, Joan Rivers, Clint Holmes, and Jerry Lee Lewis. He also appeared as an actor in television shows and major motion pictures. We talked about a little bit of that in episode 22, way back on season 1 of the podcast. But if they haven't heard that episode, go back and listen to it. But what have you been up to in the past 5 years, John?
So we've really been ramping up the theater tours. We had found a new agent 2 years ago, and he's a hustler, go-getter. Reminds me a lot of you. I can't afford you, so he's the next best thing. You'd be my booking agent if I could afford you. Plus, I get to see Natalie more too.
Aw, that's so sweet.
So we've been busy with theater shows around the country.
Nice.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Now, what was the one you just got back from? Was that Chicago?
So yeah, June was really, really a good month. We were a big theater in Chicago called the Rouse Center for Performing Arts. Then we did 4 days at my buddy's music festival, Wayne Stock. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Great time. I do close-up sleight of hand as part of the VIP lounge experience. That's as you guys know, we're not schlepping the gear around. I just show up with my briefcase and have a good time. And you know what I'm talking about. It's like our version of acoustic jam, right, Wes?
I love it. Yeah.
So I do, we have 4 bands every night at the festival, and I do a set between the 3rd and 4th band and then after the headliner. And it's a great experience. It's an add-on. If you buy this VIP package, you get happy hour perks, you get backstage. You could end up in the lounge with your favorite band while I'm doing close-up magic. And it's a pretty cool VIP experience. Then that was in West Virginia. Then from there, we went to, let me think about this, they all run together. Next was Albany, New York, 111-year-old theater in Gloversville, to be precise. The Glove, great time there. And then off to Rochester, New York for another theater show. So June was pretty busy.
That's
Nice.
good, dude.
Yeah.
That's good. So who's in your cast? I mean, I got Natalie and my kids in my cast. How do you get your cast together, and who is in your cast?
You don't know how interesting that question is, because obviously my wife is roped into this. I don't know. Most of my friends ask why she puts up and how she puts up with me. Natalie can understand where I'm coming from. But we both outkicked our coverage, as they say, Wes. So congratulations, and same for we both got beautiful, sweet women working, anchoring the show. In addition to that, the reason I say your question's interesting is I have a business partner who was a struggling actor in New York City, off Broadway, and his uncle would always come to the family reunions with a beautiful woman, a nice car, dressed well. And so my buddy Al says, "Sammy, what do you do for a living?" And Al finds out he's a financial planner. So long story, as short as I can make it, Al now was a client, hired us to do his client appreciation dinner. And we've become buddies. We bonded over skiing, believe it or not. I don't golf much. But he is now a business partner in the show, and he gets his acting fix by playing a stagehand who wants to be a magician. And it's a running gag throughout the show. And we've had a blast with that, including one of my own original illusions I'd ask you about, make my wife disappear trick. That's now been, we had to come up with a backup plan if we couldn't find a couple to do that trick in whatever city we're in. And I don't want to spoil it. I'd love you guys to get out and see it live, but that now is Al's trick that he built in the wood shop, and that's one of our finales. So I've got a sound and light guy, 2 more stage hands, and then Al, his character, is slowly taking over my show, we joke. And so that's why I thought your question was pretty insightful, because I think that's an unusual setup.
Well, every time I see a touring magician that doesn't bring their wife or doesn't have a standard, I'm going to hire a new crew to go out on a new tour. That's scary, man. And looks like an appetite for failure is what it looks like.
You know as well as I do, both of you, with the live magic, every couple minutes something could go downhill and make it a tough night for you. So you want that. I think you're speaking to the comfort zone of the crew you're used to working with. If I have to do a show without my wife, kind of feel lost. I hope she doesn't watch this. But that comfort zone, and to your point, we've been traveling quite a bit, and sometimes there are schedule conflicts, and or a guy taking a new job. One of my best friends, childhood friends, has been with the show for decades. He's the one I told you about in our last visit that I rode along to Philly with and got into the movies. He had enough of his job and decided, I'm going to try this acting thing. And so he had come out of semi-retirement with my show to go on tour with us. Does a great job, great with the ad libs and whatever happens. And he just now got signed with an international agent. So he's going full blast, full time into acting. So we had to wish him farewell and good luck. But it's bittersweet because we love having him around,
Yeah.
Golly. Yeah, but supporting your friends too, though.
Right,
You want
yeah.
them to be successful.
You got to go for it. You got who are we? We can't tell anyone not to go pursue their dreams, right? Here we are.
Right.
We get to do this for a living. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
you count your blessings.
Absolutely.
Dude, I got 5 pages of notes. You see me looking down. That's what I'm doing. I'm getting ready for the next question.
I'm
You
ready
never
for you,
know.
and I have to keep looking down at Natalie, so it takes me away from the camera.
That's all right. That's all right. So what's the biggest difference for you? Because you're doing theater shows, one-nighters now. What's the difference between somebody hiring you for a corporate event and your one-nighter as far as people buying tickets specifically to see you?
Man, you are good at this. That's another great question, because I just had this conversation with a friend of mine. My website is geared towards selling tickets to theater events, and the corporate events, as you know, similarly with the cruise ship industry, you get a captive audience versus having to find the audience and draw them to the show. I'd say that's the biggest difference. Not all theater shows are guaranteed money, where a corporate event would be guaranteed, your fee is guaranteed, and your audience is captive. I'd say that's the biggest difference. And they both have their pros and cons, right? You're excited when you fill a house, you're like, wow, this is great. People are into, and I thank them. I'm sure you do too. I thank them every night when I say, we're all on our phones too much, including myself. Thanks for coming out for a live event. We can actually interact and have a good time.
Yeah, 100%. So when you go to a new city, how much responsibility for you falls on you trying to get all the tickets? Does the theater guarantee you that, they have their own people that buy season passes that'll be there? Or is it 90% you, 100% you? I have listeners in 103 different countries. I have beginner magicians, people that have been in the business for years like me and you. People have no idea how it works, John.
Well, another great question. I would say that varies quite a bit. If you have an old school team, they're gonna get you in there. If it's your first time, they'll promote it as such. And when if your show hits, that's gonna spread word of mouth. You know better than I do. Other than the television exposure or internet exposure, that firsthand word of mouth where you would say you came from a show and you tell me, John, you got to see so-and-so. He's great singer, dancer. So that's the old school way. the new school way, and I'm struggling to keep up with this. There are people that are really naturally good at this. The social media aspect, you guys, I mean, you're always, you keep it going. You're pushing it out there. So there are theaters and venues that say, wow, we're not sure we can guarantee you money, or what deal can we work because you don't have 100,000 Instagram followers, So that's I think in this business, any business, you find your weaknesses and try to make those better. That's something we're actively working on. Social media and merchandise, two things that I've been very weak on over the years, trying to make that better. So to answer your question again, circle back would be, it varies, but there's a mix of both. And we've had people say, we'll wait this one out and see how the social media builds up. And then we'll revisit this. Others are like, let's get you in here. Let's say you have 100 seats this time. Next time, we did this with a venue in Florida on about our 4th visit, we're sold out. You got to build that, grassroots style. So I think that social media and exposure can really, really help you get out of the gate.
Well, for our Patreon extra today, we can talk about back of the room sales and merch, because you said you had to work on your merch. I have a couple ideas for you if you want to talk about that Patreon extra.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I've been wanting to catch up with you because we have some ideas that we had several meetings about, and I know that you're the guy to talk to about making this happen in the real world. So,
well, my thing is, I don't want to spoil too much. Sponsorships. Have the sponsors pay for your merch, and that way you're selling free stuff.
Yeah, that's a great idea. See, this is why you're the guy to talk to.
Patreon.
That's enough. I'm going to need a 3-month break till we talk again, Wes.
Okay, all right. So I do have magician friends come over, and I have one that's a lawyer, but he's a hobbyist, right? And he's like, show me some cool stuff. And I show him stuff. He's like, I can't remember it all. I can't remember. He starts to film it. And then he does ghost me for like 3 months because he's like, you just overwhelmed me the last time we talked. So I can't handle it anymore.
That's great.
Let's see. So what have you learned in your marketing for your theater show that you wish you knew earlier?
In marketing the theater show?
Yeah. Like if you were starting out today marketing a theater show, what is something that you had to do? You had to go through those hurdles yourself. Natalie and I say we are a family of touring illusionists, and we have to figure out everything for ourselves. There's nobody out there that can answer our daggone questions. We have to just have all the, what do you say? It's the way you say it.
We figure it
The
out.
trials and tribulations, we have to stumble to figure it out. There's nobody out there. You talking to yourself 10 years ago, what would some advice be?
Well, unfortunately, I have learned a lot, but one of the things I learned, I wouldn't have been able to help my young self, maybe because I don't know if I had the footage or the money to make it happen. But that those visuals, the video has to be dynamic, because if you're not a household name, you've got to get their attention, make them want to come to that shit. You know what I'm talking about? It's got to be quick, big, and bold. And I don't know. It's interesting because you wish you knew it then, but maybe you didn't have, for example, I have enough material now that I could do a 90-minute show and come back the next year and have probably 30 to 40 minutes of that be new material they haven't seen yet. So even though I could tell my younger self that you'd need some money, some big money, to get that to the point where you could actually utilize what I learned. So yeah, I mean, you're always that way, right? You'll get to a certain point, a milestone, and you'll say, boy, I wish I'd have done this 10 years ago. But in a way, to your point, you've got to get out there and do it live and discover it and learn it and put it in. So you got to put in the reps and the hours and the travel.
So do historic theaters give you a different magic atmosphere compared to modern performing arts centers? What is the atmosphere difference? Is it just your show, or do you think it makes a difference?
Well, I think we're fortunate. Our show translates across all demographics, all ages. But there's definitely, in my opinion, a difference between a slick, modern performing arts center, which is great, to a 120-year-old vaudeville theater. Just the history, the vibe, the feel, the atmosphere. And if you can hit that sweet spot where you have enough tickets where it's a big show, but it's not, who doesn't want more people in the audience? But you know what I'm getting at. If you're at a 500 cap room versus a 2,000 seater, you're going to get that cool vibe, that intimate feel for all the comedy interaction stuff. You know what I mean? And the history, I mean, I remember when Craig Diamond and I were working on the project in Arkansas, we had that 300 seat theater, the community theater. But I think I mentioned to you, maybe not on here, but in person, diagonally across was a Sanger theater. You know, they were the crowning jewel back in the day. And when you walk in there, you know, Houdini walked on those boards. So all those things, all those feels. We did the Roxy Theater in Allentown a couple years back, 3 years now, I think. It was Billy Joel's first live concert. So they have a dressing room dedicated to him. You can't tell me there's not and you walk in there, they've kept it with the original footlights. We had to bring sound. I mean, it's historically where it was in 1933. So
Wow.
there's a vibe and a feel when you have those red velvet seats, the big grand drapes and the footlights. I mean, it's a real thing. It's a vibe. So yes, I think there's a big difference.
You know, people that book a show just call you up and book you. They don't understand the vibe and the feel. They really don't. You know, somebody wants to hire you for their event. We have a company party and we rented a park. Go out in the field and do the show. Now, we want the biggest show you have. You put Copperfield outside next to a cow pasture, it's not going to be Copperfield's show. It's just not.
It's not.
Yeah.
Look, if you look at David's, and they still did a great job. He had a great budget and great team. But look at going way back to the China special where he did the matinee. I called it. You know, it's big room, glass backdrop. Excuse me, glass backdrop and daylight. And it doesn't have. I mean, it was a great show, but it doesn't have the same vibe. And to your point, you know, these outdoor shows, you almost need nighttime so you can focus light and get the attention focused there if you're going to do the big illusion show.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to change topics here, but let's see. So you've been invited back to venues such as the Campus Theater, Sellersville Theater. What does it take to turn a one-night booking into a returning relationship?
That's a good question. I think that starts, and you know this as well as I do. In my opinion, that starts from the minute you pull up to the loading dock. My team, I pride my team. I have a lot of pride in the team being friendly and professional. So that's the start. We always start with greeting the crew and saying, look, here's what we want to do. And there's some of this taken care of in advance of the show, but I still reiterate, hey, this is your house. Here's what we'd like to do. We want to give you the best show we can. What can we make happen? How does this work? And a lot of that's taken, as you know, that's taken care of a couple weeks out with what we call advancing the show. But again, friendly, professional, and here's the other thing you said earlier, we get to do what we love. So let's have fun. Let's all have, this should be it's a long day, as you know. People don't know about the 6-hour load in and setup and tech and checklist. And
all they see is when the curtains open and the curtain close.
And if you're doing it right, you're making it look easy. And that's even another thing. You have to learn to sell that. But back to your original question is, my philosophy is, hey, I get to do this and there's a lot of work, but why don't we have fun and why not make it creative? So we'll start with a real simple light cue and sound check. And if the LD or the light tech is good, then we can add on. And we travel with a lot of moving lights to take some of that time out of the rehearsal. My guy knows the cues for the big illusions, etc. So I think those things, and then having fun with your audience, engaging the audience, whether we're doing magic or singing or telling jokes, the idea is to entertain those people, give them an experience they can take with them. And when you do all those things, I mean, they're going to want you back, right?
100%, man. Yeah. And that's what you want. You want those repeat bookings.
Yeah, because like we said earlier, that's part of the process, building it. It gets bigger, better for everybody. It's better for the venue. It's better for you. And you get to try out new material too. So you're going back to this. I'm like, hey, I got a brand new finale for you. They're like, great, this is awesome. And the other big, I'd like to add to that, Wes, is the meet and greet, whether you're doing a VIP before the show with a little close-up magic or after the show. When you get that personal interaction, your crowd's going to take that with them. They're going to remember. And after all, your product is you. So if you can share that with them, they're going to want to see it again. They're going to see you again, just like we want to catch up with you guys in person. They're like, oh, great. Wes and Natalie are coming back to the Ritz Theater. I can't wait to see them. It's been a year and a half, so here we go.
There you go. So your advertisements emphasize that no two performances are ever alike because of your improvisational skills. Is that something that you can't really practice that, but is that something you play with in your mind? I work on routines. It sounds weird and it sounds whatever, but I will literally map out a routine that I'm planning on building
Mhm.
in my mind before I ever glue, tape, wood, whatever. I will work it all out in my head and try to get all the bits of business in my head before I even start building it.
Of
Is your
course.
improvisational stuff, does that make sense to you? Can you try to work that in, or is it just improvisational?
So
makes
I think I'm understanding you. The concept is this: we have a lot of interactive things like most magic acts do. You know, there's a skeleton, if you will, an outline of that. But unlike the big illusions with the dramatic lighting and fog and cues with several crew members, etc., those are those spots when you have a guest on stage, you find out something about them. You have an outline, a skeleton, if you will, or building blocks, things you do every night. What I was alluding to in that marketing is I feel like my forte is being in that moment. The thing that's different for me is I don't know what I have this all down. I'm ready to do this, but I don't know what my guest is going to say or do. And I love being able to hit pause and run off the rails with that person. You know what I mean? That makes it fun. As you know, how many hours, days, weeks, months, years of reps did you do to get your show where it's at? So the fun, that's I've seen the trick. I always joke, I've seen these tricks 1,000 times. The fun for me is what's the audience going to say or do, and if I get to run with that, that's that's the payoff for me. And I kept trying to figure out, you shoot as much footage as you can and hope you capture some of those, but I'm not sure video can always capture that feeling in that moment.
Right.
So that's when I started writing. We decided to write the marketing that way, kind of trying to sell the idea that, hey, we've got a lot of dynamic magic, big illusions, but we want to have fun with you. And your crowd is different than the crowd in St. Louis last week and different than the crowd in Chicago next week. You guys have your own people, characters, and I say in the show a lot, I get to travel around and meet people. Some are entertainers, some by trade and some by nature, because you get these people out of the audience. And I mean, I've had a guy come up, a lot of fun stories on the ships. Guys will come up, maybe had a few too many. And before we even do anything, I video this guy's turn around, he gets his wife, he wants the camera. I'm like, oh, he has a publicist. Let's take a moment. Or, so all those little moments, find out you get a person up for a money trick and they're an accountant. Well, I mean, that's kind of gold. You're doing a mind reading thing and you tell them to memorize 7 digits from a phone number in their iPhone. And when they read them back to you, they give you 8 digits and you just kind of go, and the crowd's laughing already. So all those moments, and that's what I'm alluding to in that writing, that is every night's different. And what I think's so magical about that, if you'll pardon the pun, is those people got an experience because of who they are and what their community is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So have you ever had it go off the rails so much you had to say, all right, I got to get back to the set? Have you ever had it go way too far off the rails and just really?
Well, knock on wood, I don't think so, because as I mentioned earlier, that's the fun. Now it will take a 4-minute bit and make it 12 sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you have to reel it back in because holy crap, we got a show.
Well,
to
I'll
back.
get
This guy all night.
it'll die down and you'll get back. But I mean, that to me, I kind of I'm looking forward to that. So I'm not going to necessarily shut it down when it's run its course. I'll bring it back around, but I'm not going to discourage that. I really enjoy that.
So for the guys that are just getting started in magic, how do you make an audience member funny without embarrassing them?
Oh, man,
that's what beginners want to do. They want to have a comedy show, but they don't understand.
This is a great question, and this is really important not only for the new guys, but our art form in general, the magic community. I think that's a huge one, and it's not, as you're alluding to, the low-lying fruit, if you will, the easy laughs are to insult somebody. But I think it's really important to work at this. And first of all, when you get the personal, don't rush into what you're doing. Say hello to them, let them talk about themselves a little bit, find out about them. It'll put them at ease and lets the audience find out who they are. And it gives them, just gives them that connection again where they're part of the show. And I think it's really important not to embarrass them or make them the butt of the joke. That being said, I'm not saying coddle them. And certainly people have different personalities, from Andrew Dice Clay to Matt Rife to these guys. If that's your persona and people are expecting that, you can probably get away with that latitude. But it's really important to make that person part of the show and let them shine a little bit. You can still joke around. Like I said, you don't need to coddle them, but that's going to take time. I would say the biggest thing for me, you start out with some of those things, Slidini's paper balls over the head, you're automatically making the person. So at the end, maybe, I don't know what the advice would be. Do you let them catch on before they leave? But you got to start somewhere, they say. So try to be as thoughtful about that as you can. And then with each show, you'll agree with this, won't you, Wes and Natalie? You'll get one or two of those gems, and my wife writes these down, or I try to remember them, where they'll say or do something, and you put that in. A good example would be going back to the paper balls over the head. Years ago, filling in for Craig Diamond and Dell on a ship, we were doing that, and the music was played by a 5-piece band. And so I was doing the paper balls there, and it was a thrust stage with the band right behind you. So rather than trying to get my assistant or my wife out there with a net to catch them, I started throwing them into my buddy's tuba. And so what made this so much fun, I was doing 2-3 balls, and then I'd have them sit on a toilet seat, had a bath towel, and I'd use the bath towel to cover so I could make the entire roll of toilet paper disappear at the end. And by the time I got to that, they were on to me looking back at the band. So as I put the towel up to cover their view, I literally threw the roll of toilet paper into the audience. Somebody in the front row caught it and hit it. So it was gone. So all those things come out of situations you're in. I had never, before I did my first cruise, I didn't work with a live band right behind me. People will say things in the show that bring the house down. Have Natalie or somebody else write it down so you can make that. I've probably, again, some ad-libs or improv things that happen will come into the show now. They're part of that routine now. So you just keep adding.
So you have people come up that's had a little too much to drink, and they're just hilarious. They're great. What about the guy that comes up that's just flat? They're talking to a door. That can end up being funny as well. You can make that funny. But
you're saying the guy who's flat, no energy.
Nothing. He gives you nothing. You can make that funny as well. But what do you do?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I always tell people there's no such thing as no energy, right? So you get a guy up there and he's just, I'll tell him to calm down. I'll call for security because he's unruly. You just got to run with it. We were doing the World of Illusion show. Craig was doing his Bill and Lemon trick with fire. We had to hire a fire marshal to be on deck. And when the second leg fell off of the comedy legs table, here comes the fire marshal with a fire extinguisher. Hysterical. And after the show, he apologized. I'm like, dude, keep it in. Every night, the second leg, you come running on with that extinguisher. And to this day, I'm doing it. My stagehand I told you about earlier. He comes running on with the second leg. And then you go, I got this. You pop the comedy legs and you're good. And then I always put a skirt around it. I say, there goes the family show. And I put a skirt around the legs with the stocking. So all those things, there's a bit that came, it just, we didn't even think about it, and it happened live, and now it's part of the show. So again, back to your original question with the young guys try to have an outline of what you're going to do. Try to be kind to the guests. They're probably nervous, even if they volunteered. And that's the other thing. How many times did we ask for somebody from the audience and everyone's like, oh my God, or you hear them coming in pre-show. If it's a corporate event, I'm not sitting up front. He'll be picking on us. We got to get around that picking on the audience stigma and go more with, hey, we're going to do this together and have a great time doing it. One more thing I'd like to add to that from, remember Doug Henning would always had this way of acting with a sense of wonder, even though he's doing it. You can add that in with when your audience member does something funny or good, you can really, in the wrestling, they'd say, put them over. You could throw them the attention, right? So wow, you're really good at this. I had no idea. So all those little things, give them some credit, give them a minute, take a beat, let them shine on something. You're doing a torn and restored rope. Well, even though you put the rope back together when the audience is going nuts, I'll turn to the little kid and I'll go, they love you so far, and the kid's like, so again, share it with them, give them some of the credit, give them a few moments, when you're new, it's hard to work in those offbeats, but take those minutes and share the energy with your guest.
We just did a resort show this weekend, and we probably had 50 people show up. It was a smaller room, and the first 2 rows were empty. And I'm like, I can see the back row, guys. This isn't. What are you guys doing? Come on, move, get up here.
There's a good one that you do so well that you could share with the young guys. It'd be great if they sat there where you wanted them, right? It'd be great if you had somebody to wrangle them, but you don't always have either of those things. So when the show starts, you're in charge and you do a great job of this. You take charge and go, guys. And you say it in a way that nobody can say no to. You're like, hey, get up here. You're going to miss the fun if you're not up here. I tell them when I do these ticketed close-up shows, they've been a lot of fun, but people, or a corporate event, you're standing there, you're even at a small table and they're like 8 feet away because they think they're being polite. I'm like, guys, get in here. You got to help me. You're going to be hands-on. So you do a great job of that, getting them where they should be and then do the show.
Well, I mean, what are you doing? It's 50 people in this room. I can see the back row is like a third row in a theater show. So you're not fooling anybody. This is ridiculous. There's no such thing as a back row in a 50-seat room. This is ridiculous. Get up here. Come on.
Good point.
And then people get there late and they pay the same amount of money as everybody else. They get front row. And I think that's not cool. I don't like that. So talking about your illusions, man, what makes you decide to create something your own instead of purchasing an existing illusion?
Well, I think a couple reasons. One, the creative process is fun, right? I mean, we all got into this with a sense of wonder, and you remember you go into the magic shop and buy everything just because it looked cool. You didn't know if it fit you. Yeah, but thank you.
Or multiples of everything.
Yes. And so, and then the other answer is starting out in the business, you've got to start somewhere again, right? So you start with some classics and you use them. But again, all this ties in with the marketing and having you back and branding. So you try to find the biggest challenge for us, I find, if you're going to do this long term, is you got to find yourself. Because the sooner you know who you are, the sooner the audience will know who you are. So all those things tie into why create your original stuff, because it's great. It's win-win-win. You've got branding, you've got
So when you create your own magic tricks, like Make My Wife Disappear, did you start with a story or did you start with the illusion and create the story from that?
It could be either way. In the case of Can You Make My Wife Disappear, that was on the, you get that a lot, but on the cruise ships, once you do your show, you're living with your audience. That's the unique thing about a cruise ship. So all week you're getting the good, the bad, and the ugly, from my husband hates magic, but he laughed his butt off in your show. I made him come in, to, hey buddy, can you make my wife disappear? To a guy holding 4 desserts going, hey, can you make these calories disappear? So many times people would ask me to make their wife disappear that I thought, that would be funny. But we were thankfully working pretty regularly, that I never got a chance to be home to do that. And then after moving on from the ships to the theater shows, I started working on it and had a working model. And again, you're always busy booking, promoting, doing, etc. So finally got it in place, and I'm like, man, I should have done this sooner, because it's also a lot of fun for me to do my own things, because it didn't exist except in my head, right? So being able to create that and have it on stage it really it re-energizes your show.
So let's talk about Susan a little bit. So she's been an important part of your show. We talked about her earlier a little bit. how has that relationship evolved over the years of doing magic together?
Well, as you know, it's challenging to work with your spouse. It's even more time you're together. And, she puts up with my nonsense of, "Hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna travel here," especially when I got into the acting thing where I might get a call with 2 days notice of I gotta be on set Wednesday or whatever. And so to start with, she is incredibly supportive. She's always been a natural. She wasn't into magic. She got into this because of me, and her background as a track star and a cheerleader really paid off because she's not she's shy. She doesn't want any lines in the show, ironically, but she's not shy about doing the big illusion. She's looks great. She's really taken a lot of time and effort to learn everything from blocking to makeup. I remember at our convention one year, Magicians Alliance of Eastern States, when Johnny and Pam Thompson, we were on the bill that convention. Pam took her aside and shared everything from false eyelashes to studio makeup to theater makeup to club makeup. I mean, so all those things. This wasn't Sue's passion, but she's jumped in 100% and worked really hard at it from every aspect. And like I told you earlier, the biggest thing for me is I could hang up with you right now, get in the car or fly somewhere. And if we had our gear and she's with me, I know I'm good. I set up, sound tech, light tech, go over that. Sometimes my stage manager does that, but all backstage with all the little props, Sue will set them up. I get out a checklist to double check for her, but she handles all that. And once I'm on stage, when she first started working with me, I drive her nuts by changing what I'm doing on the set list based on the audience. And God bless her, she put up with all that, and she's a trooper. She hates rehearsal, by the way. I call her a gamer. She was a track star, so she's like, she's always poised together. We'll do a couple. I'll rehearse it till I want to have it down so I can do those ad libs and spontaneous things in the show. And she'd rather run through it once. She's like, "We're ready," and then she's a gamer. I call her because she poised, calm, cool, and collected on stage. So she's been great.
Has she ever rejected one of your illusion ideas? Like,
oh yeah. And then oh yeah. Are you familiar with Lady in the Puzzle?
Steinmeier trick?
Yeah, Steinmeier.
Yeah.
We thought about adding that, and we tried it one time, and that was a absolute hard no. So, yeah.
At least you didn't buy it and then try it.
No, well, friends had one, and we tried it, and that was an absolute no. So, luckily, we got to try it out first.
Yeah, that's good because our first big purchase, $8,000 trick.
Yeah.
They measured, we got it from Pilford Illusion, and he needed everything from her neck size, her waist size, her bust,
Custom.
everything. Measured everything custom, and then they just sent us one off the shelf that she didn't fit in. They sent us a standard one.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
You're good. You're good. And she didn't fit in it. So
what'd you do?
What are we going to do? She was almost in tears, crying because I don't fit in it. They took all my measurements, and I don't fit in it. So what do? She puts me in the box and makes me disappear. Yeah. But it's turned into a centerpiece of our show. And I think she's better on the outside turning that box around than I would be anyway. Well, I mean, better.
So did you end up doing that illusion, you, Wes, and Natalie's talking?
Yeah. Yeah. And we made a whole thing out of it, like getting the box. Well, right? Not for real, John. But, well, I'm not getting in that box because I saw you. All right, guys, in this theater, we usually roll our equipment from the trailer onto the stage. I had to take up a flight of steps. I did drop it, but I put duct tape here, honey. It's fine. No, you get the box. If it works for you, I'll do it. Okay, Natalie, look, I'm in. Are you happy? And then she locks the door. Yeah, I'm happy. And then she does it to me.
I love it.
And it works great. It worked great. But now I'm doing the miserable job, right? I'm in the uncomfortable position for all that time, but for the payoff, I think it worked out better.
Yeah.
We discussed your magic career last time, but talk about John Westford, the actor. How did acting enter the picture?
How did it come into play? Well, I think in general, I was a shy kid, so humor and acting got me a way to get over being shy without being myself. You know, you're nervous. You're more nervous about being yourself than anything when you're shy. And so I got involved in acting. I thought comedy really was my way of interacting with people. And so all through school, I would do school plays, except musicals. They couldn't hide me in the chorus. I was pretty bad. Couldn't sing. But regular plays, I was always into that. So, and then magic wise, performing live on stage helps with the nervousness, like for auditions or interviews. It's a thing where going to some of these acting auditions, I wouldn't be as nervous as the next person because really I just have to smile, talk to the camera. I don't have to worry about this going wrong or this light cue being off or whatever. So, and the recession had hit. If you remember our conversation, we were doing the cruise ships 2 weeks a month minimum, and then corporate shows back on land, or maybe all month on a ship. So when that just stopped with the recession, I had to find work somehow, and I was lucky. My friend was going to see that agent, and just went there and started talking to him about it, and it was a good way to fill in all those gaps. So I learned a ton on sets too about lighting that I use to this day, whether we're shooting our show or you had said to me in the other podcast, the other episode about setting up for Zoom with lighting and stuff. Well, I learned all about indirect lighting and sound and all that without going to school for it, being on those sets. So the acting thing was kind of out of necessity, but I had always enjoyed doing plays in school.
That's awesome, dude. Well, doing research for these podcasts, sometimes it's a hassle because it's like, I don't really know the guests they asked me to be on. And doing research for you was awesome because you're my buddy. I love you, dude. I did not know that you portrayed young Dan Aykroyd in Celebrity Ghost Stories. Tell me about that.
Well, that was cool. We did this is a kind of a comical story. It's funny because I made a list of tried to remember what all we talked about. That was something we didn't touch on. So that was shot in a mansion outside of New York City that they used for American Gangster. I forget in what capacity, but this big, beautiful mansion. And so my buddy, Rob, who I mentioned before, the acting buddy who got me into this, we always try to support each other. And any excuse to go to New York City, Rob's in. So I said, Rob, I've got this job for Celebrity Ghost Stories. You want to ride along? So we head to New York City. And we might have been out a little too late the night before because it was a pretty early call. And I think Rob may have been overserved. So we go to the set and he comes inside to hang out. Holding was in one of the rooms in the mansion. And so they call me in to do my scene and I come back and Rob goes, well, how did it go? Well, my scene was Dan Aykroyd bought this house from Beverly D'Angelo, and they both claimed it was haunted by the ghost of Mama Cass. So my scene, Dan was married to this beautiful blonde. What was her name? Donna D'Erico, maybe? I don't want to say the wrong name, but I think that. So they hired this blonde model to play Dan's wife. So I'm in bed. We start rolling, and the director says, cut. This doesn't seem realistic. You guys really should be spooning as a married couple. So I say, well, I guess if we have to. And and we're spooning, and the actress playing Mama Cass. The story Dan tells is the ghost of Mama Cass would get in bed with them at night. So the Mama Cass gets in bed with us. We shoot. Oh my God, what's going on? And so we shoot this for about a half hour. I don't know, 6 or 7 takes. And they said, okay, you can go back to holding. So I go back to holding, and the phone rings. It's my wife. She says, how's it going? I said, well, pretty early call, but they had great coffee, really good breakfast. Rob got a role on the show, and I was in bed with 2 women. How's your day going? And she says, excuse me? And I said, yeah, that was the scene. It's Dan Aykroyd in bed, and Mama Cass gets in. So that was my little teaser for you. Rob is sleeping it off, if you will, in the holding area, and the production assistant comes in and she says, excuse me, sir. And Rob thinks he's getting sent back out to the car, like, don't be in here and hold. He goes, I'm sorry, I'll go wait in the car. She goes, no. The producer really likes your look. Do you want to be in Mama Cass's band? And he says, hell yeah, I want to be in Mama Cass's band. So he did that. And I'm happy to report he went back and had 2 or 3 principal roles in Celebrity Ghost Stories then. So
Wow.
kind of a cool turn of events in the business, just riding along. I also rode along with him one time. There were 150 people in a casting call, and they called back 2 dozen. He was one of them. And the agent is in Baltimore, where my brother lives. So he's like, "You want to ride along?" I said, "Sure, we'll have lunch with my brother." We walk in the casting agency, and the intern, college girl, she's handing out the paperwork. Now, keep in mind, all these people had auditioned and made it through the first round of cuts. I'm just with my buddy. She hands me the paperwork, so I filled it out, and I did the audition, and he didn't get the job. I got a job on the commercial. So I've had jobs where I had 2 or 3 callbacks, thought I was perfect for it, nothing. Ride along with him, get a job. He's riding along with me, sleeping off a hangover, and not only gets a role in the episode I'm on, but 2 or 3 more times they call him for a principal role. So crazy business. Yeah, I thought I might enjoy that.
The one where you got the job and he didn't, was that the first time that happened? Was he jealous that you got the job and he didn't? Or you guys just have such a good friendship?
No, we're great. No, we always support each other. But in full disclosure, that commercial had 4 or 5 different parts. And my friend Rob, he's got long hair. He's got a really cool look. Like he doubled for Santana in a Macy's commercial. He has that kind of vibe. The job I got, he wouldn't have got anyway. It was the hipster businessman on the streets of DC. I'm being interviewed. They gave me these trendy glasses or whatever, and I'm in a suit. So no, Rob and I, we weren't really up for the same part in a way in that case. But no, we go way back. So I'm always supporting him and vice versa.
That's awesome.
You know, when he got called, he got 3 more parts out of the Celebrity Ghost Stories thing. I wasn't like, oh, I should. No, I'm like, great, good, man, that's awesome. So yeah,
I just think of that business as acting being more cutthroat. Just
it is, and very much so. But I mean, we were childhood friends, and also I've met a lot of people that were great. I was in New York City on an audition. I'm sure you know the magician Elliot Zemet.
yeah.
Super hip, cool look, talented guy, America's Got Talent, all those things. I was at an audition. I think it was like a Scrabble commercial or something crazy. I'd have to look in New York City, and got a call back and go in there, and I didn't bring the right wardrobe. And there's Elliot. I don't really know him. We're both magicians. We made small talk. He made sure I had the right. I needed a white collar shirt for the audition. He gave me one to do it. So you talk about the business is brutal, but you can find there's the magic world stepping in and let me do that audition. So
That's awesome.
really,
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
So did you get to meet Dan Aykroyd? Did you study
I
his
did
band
not,
with him?
unfortunately. There are times in the business where you get these really cool gigs and you don't. I was a photo double for Harrison Ford. My mom's like, "Oh my God, love Harrison Ford," and we always tease my dad that he's the better looking version of Harrison Ford, and he gets a laugh out of that. But I was a basically a photo double. I had the same wardrobe. I could wear everything and they could pay me a lot less to do a thing. It was an espionage movie called Paranoia, where they just shot down. It was Gary Oldman and Liam Hemsworth. And so what was interesting about that, we were talking about joking around, we hang out. We were doing a street scene. This is really cool. The movie is based in New York City, but it was cheaper at the time with the Pennsylvania tax incentives to bring everyone to Philadelphia, change the street signs. We had New York City cabs, New York City police cruisers,
Wow.
and make it look like New York just for 2 blocks. And so I was an NYPD officer standing on the corner, and everybody you see in the shot, the stuff's happening in an office building and the camera's looking out. Everyone is an extra: businessmen, bike messengers, taxi, little kiosks. And we'd have to shoot all day, like crossing behind them for the scene. Well, when we reset, you'd see all these people going back to when they'd come back, I started getting bored. To entertain myself, I started high-fiving them, going, good game, good game, good game. Well, Liam was standing there and he got a kick out of that. So he was watching all my shenanigans over the couple days. Fast forward to when I'm photo double for Harrison Ford, I'm in the wardrobe trailer getting, the ladies are getting the wardrobe, and I look up, there's Liam Hemsworth. they're dressing him and touching up makeup, and he looks up and he's like, "Oh God, it's that crazy cop." So all the funny little things that happen. But my
Wow.
mom was so excited I got to do this part, and I never got to meet Harrison Ford. He wasn't there. So
Sigourney Weaver, it says you worked on a production involving her. Did you get to meet her? What was
say that
like?
again. I didn't hear the first part.
Sigourney Weaver, you worked on a production with her?
Absolutely. That was a great experience because Sigourney Weaver was in a short-lived series called Political Animals on USA Network. And she played the Secretary of State, and I was her Secret Service, suit, earpiece. So yeah, I hung out with her for a couple days, and I got to talk to her a little bit. A friend of mine had a band that won Battle of the Bands and was out west for the final, like the championship round, the final round, whatever you want to call it. And they got to meet her. She was a fan of the band. Now, I'm not saying she remembered each one of them by name, but she remembered the band. And I told her, I said, we have some mutual friends the second day on set. So really, really nice, down to earth, very professional. But yeah, I got to spend several hours with her. It was a really cool experience.
Wow. So Robert Houdin says a magician is an actor playing the part of a magician. Do you think being a magician makes you a better actor, or is being an actor make you a better magician?
I think they're kind of intertwined, but again, if the trick is, the difference would be, I think being a successful magician, like you and I touring, you have to find yourself, where being an actor, you're doing the opposite of that, right? You have to find that character. So I think they both help each other, but I think they are distinctly different that way.
All right, so here we go. We're back. John had some technical difficulties on his end. He's roasting. I made it turn his air conditioner off for the sound for this thing. I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry.
Hey, you got to suffer for the art.
You do. You do. So in 2008, your stuff said that the recession left you in Rome without work. Tell me about that story. You got stranded in Rome?
No. That I guess that was misleading. We were not stranded. The company still flew us home and got all our gear home. We just had no work after that. Normally when we go out on a 2 or 3 week run, we'd get an email from the agent saying, maybe 2 days into it, hey, finalizing your plans, you'll be home for 5 days, then you'll fly to here, or here's the flight information for your next thing. And we were on that, I think it was a 2-week run through the Mediterranean, started in Lisbon, Portugal. There was no email the first day or two, didn't really think of it. Third day, nothing. Fourth day. And about a week into it, I'm thinking, wow. So I had reached out, and they just said, there's just nothing. Everyone is cutting it, circling the wagons, if you will.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's see. I'm going to wrap everything up here, John. I'm trying to get some good stuff here. Is there a piece of advice from Craig or from Blackstone that makes more sense to you today than it did when you were young and they gave it to you?
So we touched on a few of those. Craig always drove home the idea of making it entertaining first and foremost. And the other one was, you got to find your style, your cell. I don't know about you, but I wanted to be David Copperfield. So you got to find what works for you, not what works for the other guy. Doesn't mean you can't take things away. You mean, like Doug Henning had that sense of wonder. I like to have that in my personality. Copperfield, his stuff was just polished and tight. And then on to Blackstone. Blackstone told me something really, really cool, that public speaking or performing of any kind, and he was the master. He said, sometimes you can't be afraid to take the audience, sit them on your shoulders, and bend at the knees. And what he meant by that was dramatic pause and downbeats. If you hit them hard with something and they're laughing really hard, you can kind of sit in that moment of, let it stretch a little bit. Maybe raise an eyebrow gets another laugh. Maybe a deadpan. So that advice lets you slow it down and deliver what you're doing. And that helps selling. I got some advice on selling the magic from a non-magician, a singer friend of mine, a brilliant singer, 5-octave range, super nice guy. I helped him with structuring his show, and transitions and comedic stuff. He helped me with editing music. He taught me how to edit music so that the music, the magic, they all hit at once. Him and a technical director on Holland America helped me with that. But one of the big things he told me about, you're familiar with the trick mental epic.
Oh yeah.
So when I first started doing that, there was a lot there to digest and do. And he said I was just revealing it like it was nothing. I said, well, I worked on this a long time. He says, yeah, but it's to the audience, it's a miracle. So you can't just give it away. And I'm like, oh, so that was a great piece of advice. Now it's like anything else. When you do the magic, you do all the hard part. Now milk it, sell it, own it, sell it. Then they get that experience. So his advice was make sure you sell, even though you've worked hard to make this really good and you do it easily, make sure the audience knows how difficult it is to do. So,
John, when we do mental epic, I have Natalie do everything. I'm the pen and she's the teller because I can't spell. So what good is a prediction if you can't spell the word right?
oh, that's great. Might be a funny bit if you write one of them, Natalie comes over and you hear her crossing it out. Mix it in.
It's awful. It's awful.
Hey,
All right,
one
so
sec. Before we go on, I have a question for you two. You had asked me about Sue earlier. How did you and Natalie, was Natalie into magic or is she into magic because yes.
No, she was in acting all through school and college and everything. But go ahead, tell it.
Yeah, no, I never, I mean, I might have seen a magic bit here and there, like on TV or something, but I'd never been to an actual magic show. It wasn't really on my radar. And I was just waitressing while I was in college, and this magician comes in during one of my shifts. I'm like, who's that guy? Because he just came in and walked back, and I was like, who's that? Who's he doing? Oh, he does magic. And it's just like, they were so used to it. It's like, okay. So
I came in like I don't.
Yeah.
I worked there for
Came in
20
and
years.
walked in the back and started getting stuff ready and just took a tray and like, who is this? Like, what's going on? So yeah, no, it was interesting, but yeah, it was fun. It was very fun. It was a neat thing to come into, and then you have the perspective of you don't have any clue of what's going on, and it's all miracles. To now, behind the scenes, you know how it works. And when somebody's like, "Oh, you should," I really want to know. I'm always like, "Are you sure?
Exactly.
How?" 'Cause it takes the magic away.
It does.
No, but yeah,
I'll
it's fun.
I'll even say to new crew members, how much do you want to know if you're just helping for a month or two? Do you really want to, this is good. You'll never look at it the same.
Right.
Wes, did you say, were you into acting before you met Wes?
Yes. Yeah.
That's very helpful.
Very into it.
Yeah.
In high
Very
school.
cool.
Yeah.
And directing.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Directed too. Oh, it's fun.
So it was a good night. I was dating, and I take the girls with me to shows because now we can go out to dinner afterwards, and I spend more time with them, and just got company on the road because the road is awful.
Mm-hmm.
But when Natalie came to work for me, it was just like, this is nice. This girl knows what she's doing. She's awesome. But she actually wasn't just sitting in a corner. She was invested. For 6 months, a year, I wouldn't let her touch any of the props because if she broke it, why not let her touch it? She dropped it, even helped me carry it out. But now it's like, it's our paycheck too. If you break it, it's coming out of both of us. So, yeah. Anyway, so what's next for John West?
We're going back. I'm home for a couple weeks. We're doing some rehearsals, working on a new one, adding some things to the new finale we've been doing on tour. And then I'm heading back out. I head to, let's see, next would be Delaware. Hold on. Delaware, Cleveland, Chicago, New Jersey, and New York, I think, are the next ones. I think I got them.
Wow. So are you taking everything in a box truck? I have an RV pulling a trailer. What are you carrying your stuff in?
That's another really good question. To do our whole full blown everything I have, the biggest show we do, 90 minutes, is a 26-foot box truck. But I've been with the cost of fuel, I've been trying to fill the time with what I can put in the in the Sprinter van, because it's diesel, a lot better mileage, etc. So far so good. Maybe missing one big illusion. I try to open and close each of the. We're usually doing 2 45s with an intermission. and I'll try to do at least 3 illusions, sometimes 4, depending what I can travel with. But the new one gives me 3 or 4 illusions. The spinoff from Can You Make My Wife Disappear? That same equipment gives us 3 or 4 things in a row, and that packs down really well. I designed that to pack and travel, and so that's been great. That takes up very little room on the truck for 3, 4 illusions, you know?
Oh, wow, that's great. That's great. Where can everybody find you, John?
JohnWestford.com.
And social medias? Anything? You're
Yeah, we
working
have
on it.
Facebook, Instagram. It's all on the site.
Okay, cool. John, you're the best, man. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great seeing you guys. I can't wait to see you in person.
We'll do it again in 5 years. What do you think?
No. Oh, this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was hoping to see you before 5 years goes
We'll
by,
see,
you know.
we'll see you in September. I'll see you in September. She's staying at home this year. I'll see you in September.
Natalie's not allowed to come? What's going on?
On vacation. We're leaving on vacation the day after he gets back. So I've got
Fair enough.
packed and all. So yeah.
Fair enough. Well, we'll miss you there.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for everything, John. You're the best, man. I still got pages and notes. We won't wait 5 years till next time, I promise.
Okay, great seeing you guys, even if it's just on screen.
Again, only thing we have left to say is see you next week.
Check us out online at wesiseli.com and patreon.com/Wes_Iseli for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled Wesiseli.